Como una pruebita de eso, mira.
Mira, ¿se escucha?
¿Se oye en esa?
Habla,
¿En la cocina? Hello. All right. ¿Se escuchan? ¿Se escuchan los monitores? ¿Se escuchan los monitores?
Hay un programa ahí.
¿Se escucha monitor?
Se ve ahí en los likes de la casa después. Este tema es para atrás si puede. O ahí.
Dame el micrófono mío.
Escucha, ahí frente, ¿se está escuchando ahora? Por las dos.
Vámonos, vámonos.
Nada más. ¿Cuál es la que se escucha?
Esta. ¿La pongo ahí?
Sí, mira a ver. Ok. Tienen consola acá también si se quiere poner en directo.
No, pues se oye.
Pero,
¿Está prendido, Mayra?
Sí, mira a ver.
ok, ya.
No avisan.
Probando.
Saludos, muy buenas tardes. Bienvenidos y bienvenidas nuevamente aquí a LUMA. Gracias por estar con nosotros. Sabemos que ha sido un día, ¿verdad?, ajetreado. Sabemos que han pasado otras cosas por ahí, así que nada, estamos aquí. Es un día gozoso, un día de mucha felicidad para nosotros. Estamos celebrando nuestro primer aniversario. LUMA fue creado para Puerto Rico y hace un año estamos operando el sistema de emisión y distribución de energía eléctrica aquí en Puerto Rico, trabajando con muchísimos retos, como ustedes saben, también con mucho progreso, también trabajando, ¿verdad?, con muchos proyectos que estamos trayendo, muchas cosas que hemos adelantado en este primer año y sabemos que van a servir de motivación y de motor para lo que viene en el segundo año y en adelante. Así que una vez más, gracias por estar con nosotros en la mañana de hoy. Hoy estaremos escuchando de parte de nuestro equipo ejecutivo sobre precisamente lo que hemos logrado, las cosas que hemos trabajado durante este primer año y los retos que hemos encarado en este comienzo, ¿verdad?, en estos primeros 12 meses de la gestión de LUMA en Puerto Rico. Así que, sin más, voy a dejar con ustedes a nuestro presidente y CEO, Wayne Stensby.
Gracias, Hugo. Thank you, and welcome everyone on the Star Days. Thank you very much for coming this afternoon. And joining us on what for us is a very, very exciting and important day. We're going to provide you briefing on our 1-year anniversary of operating the transmission and distribution system. And I'd like to start by recognizing what an honor and a privilege it is for the 3,000 women and men of LUMA to be able to serve all of our customers every hour of every day, of every week, of every year in Puerto Rico. Since day one, our focus has been on providing a better energy future for all of those 1.5 million customers. When we assumed operations of the T&D system, we began with a very clear mission to provide a more reliable, more resilient, more customer-focused, and cleaner energy system for all of Puerto Rico. And despite an array of challenges that we have faced, for an energy grid that has suffered from years, if not decades, of neglect under the previous operator, our LUMA team has remained committed to this greater mission all across our first year of operations. I hope you'll join me today as we highlight some of these critical actions and achievements. And supporting this exercise here are a number of my colleagues, including Noriette, our Director, Voice of the Customer. Directly to my left, Shay Moramirad, our Senior Vice President of Engineering, Asset Management, and Capital Programs. On the far end, Kathy Rohr, our Director of Operations Strategic Initiatives. And directly beside me, Mario Hurtado, our Chief Regulatory Officer. Each of my colleagues will dive deeper into specific areas of our operations and share our progress that collectively we have achieved to date, while highlighting the size, the scope, and the scale of what we've been able to accomplish in a very short period of time. Now, as I mentioned, the fact that LUMA inherited many challenges as a result of the state of the electricity grid is not missed. And to illustrate and show how significant some of those challenges have been and how far we have progressed through those obstacles, we thought it might be helpful to look real conditions of some of the facilities and the equipment that existed when we began only 12 months ago. What you will see are images across Puerto Rico's electricity system. And if a picture says 1,000 words, then the images in the video that we're about to play speak volumes in terms of the neglected and beleaguered state of the system and the significant challenges that we've been able to overcome. Great. Before we move to our first speaker, I would like to once again thank all of our customers for the support and the kindness that they have shown our entire LUMA team. While it's very easy for some to focus on the negative, the people of Puerto Rico have shown and again that they share our mission. We build a better energy future for Puerto Rico. And while we know years, we will continue to build on this, and honestly, we couldn't be more excited about the future ahead. And so with that, I'd like to hand it over to Noriette to talk a little bit about the customer.
Gracias, muy buenas tardes a todos. Estamos muy agradecidos y contentos de que estén compartiendo con nosotros en esta tarde. Quiero comenzar enfatizando que nuestros clientes se encuentran en el centro de absolutamente todo lo que hacemos. Es por esto que desde ya hemos convertido en prioridad mejorar en todo el sentido el servicio al cliente que ofrecemos. Hoy me enorgullece anunciar que hemos hecho avances increíbles para proporcionar mejores actualizaciones, información y tiempos de respuesta más rápidos a nuestros 1.5 millones de clientes. Entre los avances que hemos hecho destacan los siguientes. Lanzamos con éxito la aplicación y el portal web LUMA. y contamos con 25 centros de servicio al cliente donde hemos atendido a sobre 2 millones de clientes en un solo año. Hemos tomado medidas significativas para ser receptivos con nuestros clientes, contestando sobre 350,000 correos electrónicos y 430,000 mensajes directos para así atender con más eficacia las necesidades de nuestros clientes. Redujimos el tiempo promedio de espera de las llamadas a menos de 1 minuto, lo que supone una gran mejoría en comparación con el tiempo de espera de más de 10 minutos que experimentaban los clientes antes de LUMA. Solo piénsenlo, imagínense, de 10 minutos a menos de 1. Lanzamos un nuevo diseño de factura completamente nuevo y la primera factura con el branding o la marca de LUMA, que incluye consejos para ahorrar energía, gráficas de uso de energía e información que es mucho más clara y fácil de entender para todos nuestros clientes. Y para ayudarnos aún más y aquellos que están enfrentando mayores costos de generación y energía, hemos facilitado su acceso a casi 28 millones en programas de dólares, en programas de asistencia de energía a cada uno de ellos. Y aunque estamos sumamente orgullosos de los avances que hemos hecho, estamos decididos a mejorar todos los días nuestro servicio a nuestros clientes durante este próximo año. Para lograrlo, continuaremos explorando nuevas maneras de ayudar a nuestros clientes a estar mejor informados y proporcionándoles un nivel de servicio al cliente que sirva de modelo para toda la industria. Ahora me gustaría ceder la palabra a la doctora Shea Baramira, la vicepresidenta senior de Ingeniería, Manejo de Activos y Programas Capitales, para que comparta el progreso histórico de LUMA con la Agencia Federal para el Manejo de Emergencias, mejor conocida por sus siglas en inglés, FEMA. Adelante, Che.
Thank you, Noriette. When LUMA assumed operations of Puerto Rico's transmission and distribution system 1 year ago, one of our primary goals was to work together with Puerto Rico Energy Bureau, the Central Office of Recovery, Reconstruction and Resilience, Core 3, and FEMA to develop and advance a series of federally funded infrastructure improvement projects, which has launched under the languished under the prior operator. And thanks to the hard work of our teams, in less than a year, we have already been able to secure funding for the first critical FEMA projects, with even more expected in the coming weeks and months. As many of you know, we just announced the historic first approval to fund the first phase of LUMA's 1 billion, and I repeat, 1 billion community streetlight initiative. The program is not only a vital infrastructure project, but will also help improve public safety across our communities. In addition, LUMA has initiated its substation modernization and improvement program that includes projects for improving 300 substations across Puerto Rico. As part of this effort, FEMA has granted funding approval for $24.4 million to modernize Catania substation. To date, LUMA has received FEMA funding approval for 10 projects, total of $94 million in federal funding. Over the coming months and years, our work with FEMA will represent the largest capital energy investment in Puerto Rico's history and one of the largest ever funded by the federal government. What is most exciting is that through our partnership with FEMA and the implementation of these federally funded projects, we will be able to transform and modernize the electric power system in Puerto Rico. We will be able to address the operational and infrastructural issues that have plagued Puerto Rico for years, if not decades. All of us at LUMA are really excited about what these projects ultimately mean for the Puerto Rico and the future of Puerto Rico. In short, it will help build a modern, reliable, and resilient energy system the Puerto Rican people expect and deserve. I'll now hand it over to Kathy Rohr, our Director of Operations Strategic, to talk about the steps we are taking to build a more reliable and resilient energy system in Puerto Rico.
Gracias, Che. Hola a todos. Cuando LUMA asumió las operaciones, heredamos una red eléctrica bien frágil y podría decir yo hasta quebrantada. Eso no es una excusa, es una realidad y todos lo sabemos. A pesar de que enfrentamos estos retos serios, hemos tomado medidas significativas a tener la confiabilidad y la resiliencia haciendo las mejores infraestructuras todos los días. Como por ejemplo, reemplazamos 3.000 postes que estaban defectuosos. Despejamos la vegetación peligrosa de 300 subestaciones a nivel de toda la isla. Y retiramos y desechamos sobre 1 billón de libras de basura, desperdicio y escombros que pudieron denotar en el video presentado. Tomamos todas estas medidas y muchas otras más. Y aunque el impacto de la red todavía supone retos reales diarios que todos vivimos, ya hemos comenzado a ver resultados positivos gracias al arduo trabajo de nuestras brigadas en todo Puerto Rico. De hecho, bajo LUMA, hoy día los clientes experimentan aproximadamente un 30% menos de interrupciones de servicio que hace un año atrás. Adicional, para asegurar que tengamos la fuerza laboral puertorriqueña bien preparada hacia el futuro, hemos convertido el adiestramiento y la seguridad en la prioridad principal de nuestro equipo de LUMA. Y les explico. Proporcionando sobre 100.000 horas de mentoría, adiestramiento enfocados en la seguridad y adiestramientos técnicos. Llevando a cabo sobre 7.000 observaciones en el field o en el campo e inspeccionando los lugares de trabajo y todos enfocados en la seguridad. Ofreciendo más de 200 cursos de seguridad para los empleados y tenemos sobre 5.000 participantes. Y me enorgullece reportar, y entiendo que es la nota más importante, que no hemos tenido ninguna lesión grave durante los últimos 12 meses que hemos operado. A lo largo de este tiempo, y porque LUMA da prioridad a la seguridad en el trabajo y en el adiestramiento, hemos reducido la tasa de lesiones registrables por un 68%. Y hemos reducido la tasa de severidad de lesiones en un 85%. Ahora sabemos que nos queda mucho por trabajar. Pero para ser honesta, no se puede reparar años de abandono en un solo año. Pero todos en LUMA tenemos el corazón y estamos orgullosos de los avances que hemos hecho. Personalmente, estoy particularmente orgullosa del progreso que hemos logrado. Hasta ahora en aumentar la confiabilidad y la resiliencia del sistema y en mejorar la seguridad y el adiestramiento de nuestros empleados enfocados en la seguridad para servirle mejor a todos nuestros clientes y a mi Puerto Rico. Ahora le cedo la palabra a Mario Hurtado.
Gracias, Katy. Buenas tardes, me llamo Mario Hurtado y soy vicepresidente y el principal oficial regulatorio de LUMA. En LUMA nos da mucho gusto compartir los avances para impulsar el desarrollo de la energía sostenible y renovable y limpia para Puerto Rico. Quisiera dejar bien claro, LUMA está completamente comprometida a construir un futuro energético más limpio y más resiliente para Puerto Rico. La transformación sostenible del sector es la política pública de Puerto Rico y luego esto ha sido una prioridad desde nuestro primer día del año pasado de operaciones y continuará siendo prioridad ahora y en el futuro. Como parte de nuestros esfuerzos para construir un futuro energético más limpio para Puerto Rico, nuestro equipo ha hecho unos logros importantes. Hemos conectado a más de 25.000 clientes a la energía solar distribuida, lo que representa más de 130 megavatios de energía renovable. Eso quiere decir que hemos activado un promedio de aproximadamente 2.100 nuevas instalaciones al mes de nuestros clientes de energía solar y medición neta en comparación con las 450 instalaciones al mes promedio de la Autoridad de Energía Eléctrica. Y quiero hacer énfasis en que eso quiere decir que hemos interconectado y aprobado aproximadamente el mismo número de clientes en un año de lo que se hizo en la década anterior. También hemos apoyado con asesoría técnica a los procesos competitivos auspiciados por el negociado de energía para añadir generación renovable a gran escala. incluyendo completar estudios cruciales que ayudarán a conectar los 844 megavatios de proyectos del primer tramo de la solicitud de propuestas actualmente en curso, y hemos estado apoyando los proyectos de almacenamiento de energía y los otros proyectos de generación renovable que vienen en los siguientes tramos. También creamos el primer mapa del sistema de distribución de Puerto Rico, que demuestra el nivel de penetración de energía distribuida para poder más información a los clientes y a las empresas solares que planean añadir energía solar residencial. A través de estos esfuerzos lograremos construir un futuro energético más limpio, acelerando la integración de sistemas solares domésticos y potenciando el desarrollo a gran escala de la energía renovable. Esa ha sido nuestra prioridad a lo largo de este pasado año y continuará siéndola en los próximos años. Quizá más importante que todo, la integración de alternativas de energía renovable resultará en menos dependencia de combustibles fósiles importados. El sol es un recurso local, obviamente, y eso ayudará a reducir el impacto del alza en los costos de combustible sobre nuestros clientes. Mirando hacia el futuro, vamos a seguir trabajando con el negociado de energía, la Autoridad de Energía Eléctrica, con los participantes en el sector energético y sobre todo con nuestros clientes para potenciar el desarrollo de la energía renovable y asegurar el futuro energético limpio de Puerto Rico. Por ejemplo, estamos participando actualmente con el Departamento de Energía de Estados Unidos en su estudio para trazar los caminos directos hacia 100% de energía renovable en Puerto Rico. Vamos a hacer todo esto de una manera que esta energía sea confiable y apoye a un sistema más resiliente y más económico. Y con esto cedo nuevamente la palabra a Wayne.
Gracias. Thank you, Mario, Shay, Kathy, and Noriette. What you heard is only some significant and many accomplishments that our teams at LUMA have made across the past year. Many of these have been documented again and again. Many of them have been shared with each and every one of you, but also with our customers, with our regulators, the PREB, as Mario mentioned, also with the legislature. We have done this because we believe that the people of Puerto Rico should hear about the challenges we face, the challenges we continue to face, as well as the sincere commitment of everyone at this stage and across LUMA to Puerto Rico's energy future. All of us are absolutely committed to a high level of transparency. It's what our customers and the public expect and deserve. And as part of this commitment, we have been and we continue to be forthright, not only with regulators and government agencies, but just as important, elected representatives, perhaps mostly important, our customers. Over the past year, for example, we have provided well over 300,000 documents to Representative Luis Raul Torres and his legislative committee. We have attended more than 27 hearings and technical conferences with the Puerto Rico Energy Bureau, or the PREB. And we've submitted 3 quarterly reports and now 3 quarterly metrics and statistic filings to the PREB. And through these, we've been able to measure our success in terms of the improvements we've made. Going forward, we continue to work with transparency and with integrity, and we'll confront the challenges we face head on and continue to remain focused on what matters the most, which is building a better energy future for the people of Puerto Rico. In closing, I'd like to shift just a little bit and focus on the future, our focus for the rest of the year and beyond. So point number 1, as part of our commitment to safety, our teams continue to prepare for the upcoming hurricane season. And we want to stress, just as we did with many of you in this very room last week, the steps that we've taken as we prepare for that season and, in fact, any other emergency we might face. We've conducted multiple emergency preparedness exercises involving our own internal teams, the Puerto Rican government agencies, and federal agencies. As we briefed you last week, we have more than $130 million in on-hand inventory for transmission and distribution materials available both at our Palo Seco warehouse and through warehouses throughout Puerto Rico. We have over 1,000 field workers, from line workers to substation technicians, who are now to respond in case of serious, and they have equipment to use. We want to be very clear. Our dedication to preparing for the upcoming season represents our commitment to all of our customers and to the future of Puerto Rico. Our second focus looking forward, and Shay touched on it, is FEMA progress. We continue to advance many FEMA projects, and we're moving into critical engineering, procurement, and contracting phases. Thirdly, we're actually beginning construction on FEMA projects, particularly our street lights, our pole replacement projects, and some of our substations. And our fourth focus, as we look forward into the next year, is renewables. We will continue to build on our unmatched and historic progress on solar connections and continue to support the large number of utility-scale renewables connections. And fifth, perhaps most important of all, is we will continue to support our customers each and every day by continuing to roll out new and better resources and continuing to connect with our customers, provide them options for financial assistance where necessary, and continue to tell our story about making a difference in the Puerto Rico electric system for them. Again, this last year we have made incredible strides, and we look forward to continuing to work hard for our customers of Puerto Rico, and I could not be more proud to work with the people that are up here with me today, as well as the more than 3,000 women and men who bring their passion and their commitment to work each and every day to make a difference, and a difference for something that is really meaningful and has an impact on our communities. So with that, we'll take questions.
Thank you, Wayne, and thank you to the team. Muchas gracias a Wayne, muchas gracias al equipo. En este momento entonces pasaremos a preguntas de la prensa sobre, ¿verdad?, este aniversario, los temas que se han tocado en el día de hoy. Empezamos con... vamos a empezar por... Perdón.
Sí, hola, buenas.
Sí, se escucha.
Sí, aquí se ha hablado de cosas muy positivas de la empresa. Quisiera saber cuál es la autocrítica en este primer año de funcionamiento de la empresa.
So his question is, we've talked about a lot of good things, but he's asking if we have any autocritics, anything we would point out as something that we should better ourselves.
I mean, my response to that is there is a lot of work to do. The system is in tough shape. It's been neglected, as you saw, for a decade or more. And our focus is getting better and better each and every day. So, I mean, we could not be more proud of the progress that we have been able to make, but we are completely understanding with our customers that there is a long ways to go. The electric system in Puerto Rico needs a significant amount of investment, and we're continuing to put all of our focus into making it better each and every
Buenos días.
Buenos días.
Me gustaría saber, en términos de la fiscalización que se ha hecho a LUMA, ¿ustedes entienden que esa fiscalización ha sido excesiva? ¿Ustedes entienden que podrían dar más información a las personas y a los entes fiscalizadores? ¿Y por qué la gente tiene en la calle la impresión de que realmente a ustedes no les gusta que lo fiscalicen en el uso de el sistema y los fondos públicos?
So, his question is related to our oversight and those bodies that oversee us or supervise us. How do we feel about people that say that we don't like oversight, that we don't like supervision, regarding specifically financial questions?
Sorry, regarding specifically
Financial questions?
I don't know how anyone could ever wonder about the oversight of LUMA. We are overseen by the Puerto Rico Energy Bureau that has substantial resources, and we spend a lot of very thoughtful time working with and providing information to the PREP, and the Puerto Rico Energy Bureau is under law the oversight bureau of an electricity operator here in Puerto Rico. So that's one. Number two, we are overseen by the P3A, by the Public-Private Partnership Authority, which again, under the law in Puerto Rico, provides oversight of public-private partnerships, of which we are one of many in Puerto Rico. We are, of course, also governed by the FOMB, or the Fiscal Oversight and Management Board, as a result of PREPA being in bankruptcy. And so there is substantial oversight by many, many parties, never mind the numerous legislative commissions that continue to hold hearings and we provide documents and testimony to. So I can assure you there is substantial oversight, and we understand that, and we continue to work through them.
Elsa, tenemos de acuerdo contigo.
Tengo tres preguntas. La primera, ¿cómo midieron la cantidad de apagones e hicieron la comparación con el año pasado? Porque se siente que han habido un montón de apagones y explosiones en el año. ¿Hago la segunda o espero?
Sí, vamos a hacer la primera pregunta. ¿Puedes repetirme una vez? Sobre los
¿Cómo
apagones.
midieron la cantidad de apagones e hicieron la comparación con el año pasado?
She's asking how do we make the comparison, how do we measure outages versus last year?
First of all, I think it's very important to recognize that a lot of the metrics that were developed, that were developed previously under PREPA had some systemic underreporting in those metrics, but that's okay. We're prepared to accept that. We developed a series of metrics and criteria along with PREPA prior to moving into operation, and those metrics now get reported on. They've been reported on 3 times on a quarterly basis. Many metrics. In terms of outages themselves, you might be aware that we produced some new outage tools for our customers to use. So you're able to go on the website, you're able to see the total number of customers without electricity. And so, individually, people are able to see outages and these days see where outages are. We measure outage duration and we measure outage frequency. And what we do know is that since we began operations, we've been putting significant effort into addressing the root cause of the outage, or the cause of the outage. So if it's vegetation or if it's faulty equipment. And so as a result of doing that, our outage durations have been systematically coming down. However, they are slightly higher than they were under PREPA, or at least as PREPA reported them. What we're most proud of, and what we are very clear and able to recognize, is that the number of outages, because we've taken a different approach and we are actually fixing the problem, the number of outages or the frequency of outages have dropped by 30% in just the first 12 months. So on top of all those other improvements, there are fewer outages, measurably fewer outages across the period.
La otra pregunta, la factura dicen que no hubo un aumento, ¿verdad? Sin embargo, ya han habido varios trimestrales. Ya hay un 6º aumento trimestral y quería saber entonces en qué se basan. pues lo están expresando de una forma y otra, no sé. Voy a hacer la otra una vez. Why do you celebrate this if people of Puerto Rico feel it's just the job you are being paid?
You want to answer that first, or you want me to translate the first question? The first question was about the bill. How are we raising bills prices and why there's a sixth increase in the bill in this third quarter?
So I'll take the bill question first, and then LUMA is responsible for transmission and distribution in Puerto Rico. PREPA is today still the operator that's responsible for the vast majority of generation. There are also a couple of private generators, as you know, but PREPA has the vast majority of the generation fleet. The price increases to the electricity bill that have occurred in the last 12 months are 100% due to the cost of generation. They are due to the cost of PREPA's generation fleet. The bulk of those costs are due to increasing fuel costs. LUMA doesn't purchase fuel, PREPA purchases fuel. LUMA doesn't manage fuel, LUMA doesn't contract for fuel. PREPA purchases fuel, manages fuel, operates the power plants, and so LUMA's job is to work with PREPA and the PREB to take those fuel costs and support in the calculations, but those are not the purchase and the management of fuel, which is the reason for the bill increases, is not due to us. We've been very clear that our costs and our cost structures have stayed within the base rate since we began work. That was a very important, just let me finish, if you don't mind.
It's not your fault, why did you put it here, right here? If it's a fault for, why is it?
Well, I don't think this is about a blame game, because I think what is important is we understand the cost of electricity in Puerto Rico is high. That's one of the reasons we worked so hard through this year to identify financial assistance programs that would be available for customers that do indeed struggle to pay for their electricity bill. And we identified more than $27 million of funding that we were able to get our customers connected to. So it's not, we don't want to back away from the realities of the bill. We understand the realities of the bill. We also want to be very clear who's accountable for those items on the bill. And I think the second question that I heard was, why do you want to celebrate success? And I think it's pretty clear. We have a lot of work to do. We know we have a lot of work to do, but we're also very proud of the large amount of success we have been able to have in the first year. And I think the 3,000 women and men of LUMA that come to work every day and work so hard to make it better are the reason we're able to be up here and celebrating that success. So we're going to celebrate success over and over and over. That's how we measure progress, because we are making a difference.
No, yeah.
Yo quería preguntar sobre los apagones, como seguimiento. Usted mencionó que los apagones habían reducido en 30%, pero sé que Wayne mencionó también ahora que en cuanto a la duración de esos apagones están un poco más altos, pero quería ver si tenían el número preciso de cuánto más alto para que puedan ofrecer una comparación justa. Y lo otro que quería saber es de qué depende que avancen las negociaciones con FEMA para que, prospectivamente hablando, los proyectos de fondos federales se muevan más rápido que ahora.
Tengo de FEMA. Repíteme la pregunta porque la verdad que...
La duración de los apagones, ya que duran más que lo que había por la autoridad, ¿cuánto más?
Okay. So his question is regarding outages. He's asking if our outages are longer than they were with PREPA, how much longer are they? And then the second question is about FEMA projects, regarding how we're going
¿De qué depende que se muevan más rápido?
So, what are the factors that would affect the delay? I'm sorry. Thank you. Appreciate it. That would delay the approval of these projects.
At the end of the third quarter, our outage durations that we reported were slightly higher than they were with PREPA. At the end of the fourth quarter, that amount has changed a little bit. But our focus is on the reduction of the quantity of outages.
We're not giving me specifically ask for the number. Not slightly, not a little bit, specific number, please.
I understand that, and when we finalize the calculations, we will of course provide the specific answer with the rest of the that get supplied.
So the next questions, please, because you obviously don't have the answer that I need. Please, the answer to the FEMA question.
We'd be pleased to answer the FEMA question.
Thank you.
Yes.
Please.
So if you go back to the FEMA obligation, it is approximately $10.8 billion of 428. We've been working very diligently through the last period of time to add what FEMA terms is 406, which is hazard mitigation funding, which is additional funding opportunities to make the infrastructure more resilient and more resistive to storm damage or other natural events. The advantage of adding the 406 funding is that we're able to get substantially more funding capability. And in our first few FEMA projects, and Shay can reflect on that, we've been able to get, through doing the engineering work, substantial top-ups of 406. So now, I think the question is, how do we get faster with FEMA approvals? I think if you look in the last, relatively short period of time, we've been able to roll out not just the streetlight approvals, but substation approval, and there's another, handful that are just around the corner. So I think for me, the way to really move forward with the FEMA approvals is to work closely as you can with both Core 3 and FEMA to work through what is, a relatively complex approval process. We've been able to adjust to their process, and they've also been able to adjust to ours to take some of the learnings and do a few things in parallel in order to move even faster.
Just to give you a bit of statistics on the project, we have initiated 186 projects to FEMA, and we have detailed scope of work of 25 projects, and 10 of them are already approved by FEMA. Two things are very important related to our streetlight community initiative. The second one is Catania substation, is that these projects are they have created a template for future engagement with FEMA. As you heard from Wayne, it is incredibly important to take advantage of the hazard mitigation funding that provides additional opportunity of funding for Puerto Rico power system. And getting approval, going back and forth with FEMA and a number of other parties to establish that template is going to help us to move forward faster with FEMA. We have had numerous dialogue with FEMA and Core 3. There has been a learning on all sides, and what I can tell you is that we all share a common goal, that we want to build a power system in Puerto Rico that is going to serve the generations to come.
¿Alguna pregunta?
La pregunta era de seguimiento a how much is that 30% reduction? How many outages does the public have today, right now? Do you have that number, like on a daily basis, on a weekly basis? I can tell you this, at my home, it goes out almost every day. I can tell because of the microwave.
I can try that, not getting...
I mean, just to tell the public, how much is this 30% reduction? Are we still having this kind of outages versus the ones we've had last year?
So there are, as you heard from Wayne, there are two ways to measure reliability. The first one is the frequency of outages, which
I'm asking about the frequency. not about that, how long.
Oh.
Because I already understand that you're working on it and you've been trying to.
I think you should let her answer the question. How about that?
That is called the Interruption Frequency Index, and it looks into how many times customers have experienced an outage. What was the number that was as part of PREPA was 10.5. That's the safety number. We project, I need to understand that this is a projection because we have not, we have to do the calculation. We are going to end up by 7, so that means that we are going to be over 30% better than the frequency. So customers experience 1/3 of what they used to experience.
So that
compared to
10.5 is what?
it's safety. It's
No. It's
interruption frequency.
during a day, during a week? That's what I'm asking. I'm trying to see how I can tell the public, listen, a year ago, people were experimenting this amount of outages. Now, a year later, we're here. So that 10.5 versus the 7 is what?
It's an annual. So you make a comparison with 12 months.
Okay.
12 months in 2021, 12 months in 2020, 12 months in, it's an annual
Okay,
calculation.
so will it be fair if I say that on average, a customer would experiment before 10.5 outages per year and now they're only 7 per year? That's what I'm trying to.
No, it's a complicated calculation, but what I can tell you is that customers this year under LUMA experienced 30% less number of outages.
Pero de más
Okay, but
duración.
still, 30% is like, okay, how many outages is that per year, per week, per day, compared to?
That number needs to get calculated for
We
a
don't
day.
have that number.
The way that industry makes this calculation is annual basis, but we calculated and we have submitted, and actually it's public information that you can get from website. We calculated on quarterly, and we calculated for 6 months, and we calculated for 9 months, and for the entire year. And we make the comparison of side by side.
I know what your question is. We can get you some plain English description of safety.
Not safety, but.
No, sorry, safety.
Okay.
The frequency.
Buenas tardes de parte de los todos. Quería preguntar, ustedes están haciendo una conferencia de prensa para anunciar varios logros que han alcanzado durante este año. No obstante, hay resistencia de parte de algunos sectores, incluso piden la salida de LUMA. ¿Cuál entonces es la contestación para estos sectores?
He's asking, he's saying that we are presenting, obviously, a lot of success, things we've done right. He wants to know about detractors and people that don't necessarily agree with LUMA, that, try to say otherwise. I would say that.
Come help us fix it, right? Like, we understand there are a large number of detractors, a large number of, I call them armchair quarterbacks, but people who like to sit on the sidelines and not be part of the solution. We're here to be part of the solution. And the 3,000 women and men that come to work every day and work hard have made improvements in the last 12 months. Celebrating it because it's so important that we're going to make, we're not that focused on our.
Que no ha habido un alza en la tarifa básica. No obstante, desde ya se está diciendo que a partir de julio va a haber otro aumento en la factura. Y quería saber si ya LUMA ha estimado en cuál es el aumento que le va a solicitar al negociado de energía para que entonces comience a partir de julio.
So this is about raises. They're saying we are not announcing raises to our increases to our base rate, but that there is an upcoming, there might be a new increase that we could ask for. If we're asking for any increases, how much would we increase our bill or our base rate?
So we are not asking for base rate increases, and we have no intention of asking for base rate increases.
No.
Now there is.
El costo del combustible, aumento a raíz del costo del combustible.
They're saying that if we are asking for an increase because of the oil prices or gas prices going up.
So maybe Mario can expand, but every quarter there is information that PREPA and the private generators pass to LUMA, and every quarter there is a recalculation of fuel costs that then result in impacts to customer bills, and that fuel cost adjustment that will be based on PREPA's information is in the middle of June sometime.
Yeah, but you don't know at this time how much you're gonna ask al negociado de energía to start on July?
No, that's correct. We don't know until a few days before that period of time. Once PREPA gives us the information, we will then do the calculations.
¿Preguntas?
Sí, ¿en qué estado está la investigación por el apagón del 6 de abril pasado? ¿Saben algo?
You're asking about the state of the investigation regarding the April 6th outage.
Yeah, the investigation is still in progress. We provided an update to the PREB a couple of weeks ago. I think the really important discussion about the investigation is actually getting to the real issue that occurred in April the 6th. So we're intent on doing that. We will ensure that that is made, we will provide that to the PREB, but we'll also ensure that that's made public. And the really important piece for me and for my team is to carry out the piece of work that helps us understand why the outage resulted in the scale and the cascading effects of the outage. So there's the immediate cause of the circuit breaker, but then there's the knock-on effects, and we're determined to get to the bottom of that. It's going to take us a number of weeks, but that's okay. I think it's important that given the number of these large outages that Puerto Rico has faced in the last 5-6 years, that we actually get to the bottom and then we can actually make engineering improvements to stop it from happening again.
Tengo una petición. Si el señor Hurtado pudiese dar la explicación que dio el señor Stensky sobre el aumento que se va a esperar en la factura, que según ellos pues no obedece al aumento de la tarifa básica, pero en español para que el público lo pueda entender mejor. Ese aumento que se verá reflejado más adelante en verano, ¿a qué se debe y de cuánto será?
Bueno, como dijo el señor Stensby, el ajuste que se hace en la tarifa total, el costo total de los consumidores de energía, cada trimestre se hace en base a lo que actualmente costó el combustible, de proyección a lo que va a costar el combustible que utiliza la Autoridad de Energía Eléctrica y la compra de energía de los otros generadores, principalmente AES y Ecoeléctrica, ¿no? Entonces, ese ciclo continúa. El próximo ajuste va a ser a mediados de comienza ese proceso con el negociado de energía, quien toma la decisión sobre si se hace un incremento o si se baja esos riders para combustible para compra de energía. Entonces eso comienza, como dijo el señor Stensby, a mediados de junio, y para finales de junio, comienzos de julio, el negociado de energía decide si hay un aumento, si hay un descenso en esos riders, en esa parte de la tarifa. Entonces esos son cálculos que nosotros presentaremos al negociado de energía a mediados de junio. Ellos tomarán eso, lo revisarán, tendrán preguntas y al final del mes, comienzo del otro mes, harán el ajuste correspondiente.
Bueno, muchas gracias a todos por estar aquí en el día de hoy, acompañarnos en este día de mucha celebración para LUMA. Gracias a ustedes por su paciencia, por su comprensión y por estar aquí con nosotros en el día de hoy. Así que gracias al equipo y gracias a todos ustedes.
Muchas gracias.
Gracias.